Orca got stuck and cried for hours. When rescuers arrived, something incredible happens. An orca cried and whined for her pod to come to get her when she found herself stranded on a beach. Fortunately, a team of rescuers came to free the beautiful animal. However, something unexpected happened. The team worked tirelessly for 9 hours to rescue the orca so she could swim away with her family. But the rescuers experienced an incredible and heartwarming scene which was worth all the pain they had to go through. This is not something a person sees every day. A gorgeous orca was helplessly stranded in a pile of rocks and crying out for help. Just off the coast of Hartley Bay, British Columbia, Canada, one man named Eric heard some strange sounds, and his curiosity made him follow the sound. The noise sounded familiar to him and his doubt was confirmed when the man saw an orca stuck between two rocks. Eric is a whale researcher and was on his boat conducting a study on fin whales in the area. It was during his voyage that he heard mournful cries from a small outcropping of jagged stone on the shore. The researcher saw a distressed young orca wedged between two sharp stones and was completely out of water. Eric quickly took a phone and called the local environmental group, Whale Point, to inform them about the heartbreaking scenario. With the help of the description given by the man, the orca experts were able to figure out the possibility of what could have happened. According to them, orcapods in that area would often collaborate to hunt seals for food. Some whales from the pod would chase the seals towards the shore, while others would patiently wait to spring the trap. It is speculated that this particular young female orca must have miscalculated her position. As the tide went out, she found herself in shallower and shallower water until there was no way to extricate herself from where she lay wedged between two rocks. No doubt the whale was scared and in excruciating pain as she was bellowing for help. The experts knew that time was crucial and that they would need all the help they could get. So, without wasting any more time, a team of rescuers raced north to join Eric and evaluate the scene. The team also contacted Get Got Guardians at Hartley Bay and Fisheries and Oceans Canada to alert them to the young orca's desperate situation. Meanwhile, Eric and his team approached the aquatic animal carefully to make a plan on how to help her get off the rocks. Initially, they avoided getting too close to her, as the team didn't want the orca to get startled and hurt herself. The reality of the situation was that if they had tried to lift her off the rocks or to pull her, they would have injured her very badly because the rocks were covered in barnacles which could have cut her skin. The female whale was, in fact, bleeding a little from her pectoral area and her tail. Two of the experts guided them through a satellite phone on how to keep the marine creature cool and wet until the tide rose, at which time she would be able to free herself. But right now, the tide was going to remain low for another 8 hours, and therefore, the team got ready for the marathon rescue. As they got closer, the young orca became alert and anxious, as it might have been pretty scary for her to be trapped, injured, and surrounded by humans. The crew noticed that her breathing was quick and shallow, so to keep her alive, Eric ingeniously put together a makeshift water pump with the help of a hose and duct tape. Then he went to the backside of the island to work the pump and sprayed water on the orca to keep her wet. Meanwhile, other rescuers dipped sheets in seawater and placed them gently along the length of the orca's body. Slowly, the cries of the beautiful aquatic animal piped down, and she became calm. It seemed like the humans managed to win the trust of the orca. After all, they were the ones who were comforting her while her own family could only stay in the waters nearby and called to her. The rescuers took turns pumping the seawater over the young orca and replacing the sheets covering her with freshly sea-dipped cooler sheets. They could see that the orca calf's dorsal was getting dry and so used a pillowcase from Eric's boat to wet it with seawater and cover the fin. The sun was shining brightly, and everyone was working tirelessly to keep the whale alive. This orca's age and relatively small size proved beneficial for her. If she had been older and bigger, the pressure on her lungs would have been greater and she may well not have lived until the next tide. This young female was just 9 years old, and the average life expectancy in the wild is between 30 and 50 years and around 7,000 pounds. Eventually, the water pump broke, and no matter how hard they tried, there was no way to fix it. But thankfully, at the same time, the tide began to rise, and after 9 long exhausting hours, the rescuers began the process of setting the orca free. They removed the sheets from her body and head and the pillowcase from her dorsal fin. It was time for the orca to jump into the water and swim away, and therefore the crew went and sat at a nearby cliff. The water level slowly began to creep up, but she still kept lying there. This made the rescuers worried and wondered if something was wrong. However, they needed to trust the orca's instinct, and when the right time came, she checked the depth of the water by her tail and struck out in 2 huge thrusts. Then she sped through the sea and rejoined her family, while the human rescuers screamed "You go girl" and cheered in exhilaration and relief. Finally, they had successfully accomplished the mission after working non-stop for 9 hours.